play at the end, Kobe really made a great play. He kind of drew the help and found Vooch. And, that shot doesn't go in. We're probably talking about a whole different,
Offensive rebounds.
yeah. But the other thing, too, is like, for me, I know wins are really, really hard to come by in this league. And I told the guys, you always should take the time to enjoy when you win a game. Whether you play well or don't play well, it's so hard to win. And then the next day, you got to be able to find ways to make corrections. But, the reality of the game was they just crashed the glass and ran through us in the fourth quarter, and I thought the game changed. Jeremy Grant made a three, and then Avia came back and made a three, and I called timeout, and that kind of gave them a little bit of life. And then after that, I just didn't think that we did the things necessary on both ends of the floor, quite honestly. And that part was disappointing. I'm happy Vooch made the shot. It was great, but, that's not really sustainable basketball, in my opinion. And, that's how we lost to Cleveland. And it's kind of how we ended up losing to San Antonio. And, again, I'm not taking anything away from Kobe or Vooch's play. It was great. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at the game totally differently if Vooch misses that shot.
Right.
And believe me, I'm happy he made it. And like I said, you should always enjoy a win. But that was not great in the fourth.
Okay, that said, Kobe's return has meant so much in terms of shot creation. There's another example of it at the end. I mean, he's just creating not only for himself but for others. What does that mean for you guys moving forward?
Yeah, he was great. I mean, he really made great plays and great reads. I thought he and Josh, Josh early in the game was setting guys up and getting guys shots. Klingon plays in a big drop, so he's back there protecting the rim. I thought we found Vooch. I thought we generated some really good looks tonight. We didn't shoot the ball particularly well, in that fourth quarter when we did have looks. But, Kobe gives us another ball handler, a playmaker, and a creator for us.
This team has played so many games in the clutch, and you guys have a pretty good win percentage in the clutch. Do you like how your team is playing in those situations? Because kind of to what you were saying, sometimes they're in the clutch because they're kind of giving up leads. Do you like how they look in those moments?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, when you say clutch, like if you're saying like the last 5 minutes, I think we can be better. If you want to say, the execution on the last player, the spacing in Kobe's pass, or Vooch made a three in Philly, those guys have done a pretty good job in those situations. Right. But I think that, you have to understand that I was a little bit concerned in the fourth quarter because I think with more than 9 minutes to go in the quarter, they were already shooting free throws. Mm-hmm. It was 6-0 on fouls, and I'm not even complaining about the officials at all. I'm just saying when you start, that's how teams get back in the game, on the free throw line, turnovers, and offensive rebounding. And all three of those things were in play. And we've got to be better in those situations because, really, you let, like anything can happen. Like Wembanyama made 2 bombs and he's a 30, like that happens, and I always say this, you let luck come into the game. And Mitchell, he's a great player, he's done it his whole career, but you let luck come into play. And, we've just got to learn and be better. And I think what happens is when teams just decide to drive the ball, we can't foul and we can't give up. We got to be better in those areas, I think.
You and Casey both kind of alluded to the offensive rebounding. What makes Portland so unique in the way that they crash the offensive boards?
Well, they have great size. They have great length. And then they also are very, very physical. I do think that the rebounding part, there are guys that just have a knack for it. I think like Kamara's great. He's very instinctive. And I think what happens is a lot of times they respond and react quicker than we did in a lot of ways. And we knew coming into the game it was going to be 3 things. It was going to be how well can we take care of the basketball, how well can we get back in transition and kind of help one another, and then the game's going to start when the ball goes up on the rim. And, we got – I thought we did a pretty good job in pick and roll coverage and helping each other. But at the rim, on the offensive rebounds and the drives through us, I think we needed to be a lot better. I thought some of the fills and the help was okay, but we got to hold our ground more, with the way they were just kind of going through us. And then we fouled once they got to the rim.
Billy, I know you said you didn't want to take anything away from Vooch. We were talking pregame about guys knowing who they are as players. Vooch has been this player for a while, and on one hand, he's taking the brunt of the glass issues. He's not exactly the rim protector that's supposed to stop the bleeding in the fourth, and at the same time, it's his 3rd game winner of the year. His touch has come in clutch. How do you sort of deal with the duality of the player he is at this stage?
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, Vooch has always been a great defensive rebounder for his career. His defensive rebounding numbers really have been exceptional his whole entire career. They're not only rebounding with Klingon. That wasn't the only thing. It's their whole team. It was Kamara. It was Grant. I mean, all those guys. Murray. I mean, there's guys running in from the perimeter. And really, Vooch is in there in pick and roll coverage and, trying to get back in there to, defensive rebound. And where there was some he should have come down with, absolutely. But I look at the rebounding issue as a team issue, not a Vooch issue.
Hey, Billy, with the play that got overturned, Kobe with the foul.
Yeah.
He kind of was looking to go kind of ISO and break down. Vooch was wide open at the key and kind of doing this. It almost like you went back. Did you have to tell Kobe, hey, if they sink like that and they collapse like that, you got to kick it out to Vooch, or did he just kind of just read it himself?
Yeah, I was talking to Kevin after the game, and we were just talking about like the last 5 minutes and what was open and what was really generating good offense for us. And they started to cross match to get away from Vooch, and they started to play some zone and do some other things to kind of switch it up. Was because of what you just said. That was open the whole entire game, And I didn't say anything to them at the time. We have talked about that. Because I think as teams try to get back in transition in the half court as they protect the rim, a lot of times your 5-man's dropping back, right, to give that kind of help. And Klingon's a great rim protector, but that was open a good portion of the game, in my opinion. And we got away from it a little bit, I think. And I thought Kobe did a great job of finding it. And we had really good spacing on the play after Kevin kind of set a screen for Kobe and slipped that. The floor was spaced well. And they brought help to Kobe, and Kobe made a great play, and Vooch obviously made a great shot.
And last thing for me then with Kobe, I know we talked before he got back, there was a lot of chatter about, we don't have that ISO guy, we don't have that ISO guy. Is he your ISO guy? Is he the closest you have to an ISO guy? Because he is strong, he gets to the free throw line, he can play make. I mean, who knows what he added in the offseason, because we haven't really seen him. I mean, can he be the answer that you guys can use, in the last couple seconds of games to be that ISO guy?
I think I look at those guys from, listen, Donovan Mitchell and some of these guys that have done it for a long period have the experience, right? And, a lot of times in those situations, the last couple of years, quite honestly, Zach and DeMar took those shots, right? And Vooch got some. But I think for Kobe, the one thing he can do is he can manufacture his own shot, and I really had great respect for what he did tonight on that play, because it would have been very easy to say, okay, I got to go do it myself. And I've said this before, we're going to have to play down the stretch to generate shots for each other. And Kobe can be one of those guys that can kind of facilitate that and get downhill. So can Josh. When you have multiple guys that can do that, get the defense in rotation, now maybe we can generate shots through that. But I do feel comfortable with Kobe with the ball because he can generate something off the dribble.
Billy, kind of a smaller thing, but that's 2 straight performances of 2 straight games where Dalen Terry's kind of done what he's probably best at, just focused on it. What did you think of his minutes?
I thought he was great tonight. I thought he played really, really well. The one thing I think for, the bench guys, especially coming out of the Denver game where they played so well, and can you be consistent? And our bench has been pretty consistent this year, and it's good to see Dalen put 2 games together. And it's not even like he had really, really good looks tonight, and he didn't make a bunch of threes.
But you saw him.
But yeah, I mean, he got out in transition. He was deflecting balls. It was physicality. He was on the glass. He was trying to rebound. Like, those are controllable things that he can bring to the table every game. And one of his issues sometimes is with that motor and that energy, he fouls. And I think tonight he was a lot more disciplined, in terms of getting his hand back and being vertical and making people shoot over him. And he was really active in the passing lane. So it was real. I'm encouraged to see that he's put really 2 really good games together back to back. And prior to that, he hadn't really had many opportunities to do it, in fairness to him. But it's good to see him play the way he did.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot,
Yep,
Billy.
thank you.
Floor open.
Come on.